What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but today we're going to be talking about why you should work for a smaller company. So when I say small company, it is important to differentiate between a startup company and a small company. So when I say small, I'm talking about mid-sized company. So companies that are usually cash flow positive, and yeah, that's the difference between a startup. So startup companies, they're probably not even making money. So I'm talking about companies that are able to hire 150 to 200 employees and be able to pay those employees a salary or an hourly rate. But that's what I'm going to be talking about today. All right, so let's get into the video. So one of the things that I've seen with a lot of people, especially college graduates, is that they want to apply for the most popular companies, right? They want to apply for the Googles, the Apples. That's what they want to apply to. And when they don't get hired or get an offer, they become unemployed, right? They say the job market is horrible. I'm not able to get a job. I got a finance degree, I got an accounting degree, but I'm not able to get a job. Especially accounting people, they want to apply to the Big Four or Big Three? I think it's Big Four accounting firms. And those are competitive to get into. You have to have a good resume, a good GPA, things like that. And not a lot of people have these. And even if you have that, you have to realize that somebody else got something better or someone has the same thing as you, right? So you have to stand out. And not everyone's going to get picked. So you have to, accept the reality that you might not even always get the job. And when those people don't get that job, they want to complain, the job market is horrible. I went to college for 4 years, got this degree, I can't even get a job. But what these people are failing to do is see the market as a whole. There's these big companies that everyone knows, but there's also mid-sized companies that are competitive, right? But they're just not as big as Google, right? Maybe they prefer to be that way, or that's more efficient for their line of business. So a lot of people forget about those mid-sized companies, which have great pay, great benefits, pretty much the same as those big companies. So I'm going to be going over some of those advantages as to why you should work for a mid-sized company. Maybe in a different video, I'll go over the disadvantages. And I'm going to be speaking from experience because I've worked for a huge company, publicly traded, right, as an analyst. And now over the past year or so, or year and a half, I've worked for a mid-sized company, doing kind of like the same thing and other things in addition to that. So I have experience in both, types of companies, and I'm going to be going over, and I definitely prefer to work at a mid-sized companies. And that's going to be based on some of the reasons I'm going to be sharing with you guys here in this video. But without wasting any time, let's go ahead and get started. So the first one is going to be, it's easier to get into right after college. So it's, like I was saying before, a lot of college students want to apply to the most popular companies, which are usually the biggest companies, and those are competitive because everyone wants to get into those. Now, if you take a step back and you apply to those big companies and you don't get a job offer, apply to the mid-sized companies. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get an interview, right? Because no one is applying to those. And when they post a job, like we need an accountant, we need a financial analyst, they really need one because it's a company that's a lot smaller, and no one really wants to apply to that, or no one does because people don't know they want to apply to the big companies. If you can't get a job out of college, apply for those smaller companies that no one is applying to. Apply to those mid-sized companies that no one is applying to. And after applying to about 20 of those, you're going to have so many options that you get to pick, right? You can even get to negotiate, certain things. But so apply to those that are a lot easier to get into if you just got out of college, or if you got out of college and you don't have a job for like a year, apply to those small companies, right? I can guarantee you that 80% of the people that do not have jobs because they haven't gotten an offer, they're only applying to those huge companies, the companies that everyone knows about, and they're forgetting these mid-sized companies that have competitive pay, benefits, and everything like that. Now, the next one is going to be, you're going to have a better relationship with your coworkers. And this is something that I've learned, after a while. So before, when I was just getting started with working, I never cared about, the coworkers. I was just there to do my job and get paid, right? But over time, when you have a career, you also want to enjoy the work that you're doing. You might enjoy, the work. I'm an introvert, and I enjoy working with numbers just by myself. I have my music. I'm working on a computer. Don't talk to me unless you need something. That's about it. I'm not going to ask how was your weekend, things like that. I don't need to know about your life, all of that. But sometimes when you work for a mid-sized company where, it's not like 100,000 people working for the same company, you're going to have those relationships with people. And when you do have those relationships, you're going to be able to enjoy your work a lot more, right? When you imagine, you might love your work, but if you don't like your coworkers, you're not going to be able to really enjoy the work environment. And even if you are an introvert like me, you're going to be able to develop those relationships with people that might be at a minimal level, but you're still going to have those relationships, and that's going to make you enjoy your work a little more. And the more you enjoy your work, the more productive you become, and you have better quality at the end of the day. Now, the next one is going to be you get to wear a lot more hats. So by that, I mean that you're going to be able to do a lot more things than what's listed on your job description, right? For me, a great example, for the company I'm working for right now, I came in as an analyst, and that is what I'm good at. That is what I applied for. But over time, based on your capabilities, based on how you understand things, based on how you solve problems, you're going to be given more responsibilities. Like for me, I now work as an accountant, right? On top of being an analyst. Sometimes you might even help with the marketing department, the sales department, right? You get to wear a lot more hats simply because it's a mid-sized company. Because you're able to do more, that kind of like leads into promotion, raises, and things like that. I'm going to cover that in the next couple of points. But the next one is going to be you move up quickly, right? So moving up quickly in the smaller companies is super easy. And most of the time, small companies, whenever they promote, right, you have to understand the corporate structure of that company that you're working at, right? How do people rank up? You came in as an analyst. What is the next step, after being an analyst? Maybe it's a supervisor, right? You supervise a bunch of analysts. And what's the next step after that? You become a manager. And after that, you become a director. After that, you get to the VP positions and things like that. And as soon as you understand the corporate structure, you're going to be able to figure out, how you're going to level up. And the way a lot of people move up quickly in these mid-sized companies is that the companies actually promote from within. They don't like to bring someone from the outside. Like I said before, you pretty much know everyone. Maybe not personally, but you have some kind of relationship with everyone since it's a smaller company. So they're not going to bring someone from the outside. Imagine a family, right? They're going to promote from within, not bring someone from the outside. But if there's no one from inside the company that's capable of doing the task or the job, then that's when they have to bring someone from the outside, right? Or if it's an expert from the outside, then they're going to bring those. But if you're looking at the regular positions like getting promoted to being a supervisor of a certain department or a manager or director of a certain department, that's going to come from within. That is because of how they promote. It's in a vertical way. They don't get someone from the outside, which is horizontal, right? Getting people from the outside. If it's vertical, it's from within, it just goes up, right? So that's why a lot of people move up quickly. And sometimes when they cannot promote you, because there's not always going to be a position of, for you to be promoted, you get raises. So either way, you're winning, right? You're getting paid or you get promoted, same thing. Now, the next one is going to be the job security. So one of the things that I really value is going to be the job security, right? You don't want to depend on a job that's going to fire you, tomorrow or next week, right? You don't want to depend on that. You want to work for a company where you know that, you have job security, right? That's what's most important when you're working because, your bills depend on that. Everything you pay for depends on you getting paid from your job. For smaller companies, I feel like you have a lot more job security. Some people may argue this, but I'm going to give you a great example here. So imagine working for a huge corporation, right? Let's say AT&T, right? You're working for AT&T on the sales team, and they see that they made less revenue this year, and they go back to look at where are we spending most of our money, and they realize that they're spending more on payroll, right? And they want to cut some of that. So what are they going to do? Let's say they go to the sales department. They say, okay, we want to keep our top 5 salespeople and cut the rest of them. It's going to be super easy for them to do that, right? Because you're not meeting a quota or something like that. But it's going to be super easy for a huge corporation to just cut people off simply because they don't have a relationship with you. You probably don't even know who the CEO is, or you don't talk to the CEO, the VPs, or the directors. You don't even get to talk to them. And they probably don't even know who you are. So you don't have some kind of a relationship with them. So it's a lot easier to cut people off. Now, look at the opposite. You work for a mid-sized company, you go into lunch, the restroom, sometimes you see the VP of finance, you see the CEO, you have a conversation, you have some kind of a personal relationship with these people. It's going to be a lot harder for them to just fire someone, based on, things like that. But if you're just horrible, if you're a horrible employee, then that's a different story. But my point is you're going to have more job security from a company that treats you like family. And this brings me to my next point, which is you get to speak with senior management, right? I'm talking directors, VPs, C-level positions, right? And the more you talk to these people, the more you have a personal relationship, right? If you are able to hold a conversation with these people, they're going to know your name. And side tip, that's why you need to watch the news. That's why you need to read books. That's why you need to, just be all around educated, because you might run into the VP of finance and he's talking about what's happening in the finance world, right? He might be talking about the stock market or the interest rates, or inflation, things like that, and you're gonna have to respond with more than yeah or sounds good or things like that. You want to be the person that's going to be able to hold a conversation with these people, because that is how they're going to know about you, learn about you. When a promotion opportunity comes, it's most likely they're going to recommend someone they know by name, right? If they know who you are, they can go to your supervisor, be like, okay, how's his work or her work? If they say the work is good, they're like, okay, promote this person. Now, the next one is going to be you get to experiment with new ideas. So for the most part, mid-sized companies that have potential to become, a huge company, sometimes they don't have to become a huge company because they're more efficient with less people, or with however many people they have working for them, right? It makes it more efficient. It's easier to manage and things like that. And they get to keep a lot of the revenue, since a lot of people are putting on a lot more hats. They don't have to hire an accountant and pay them like $60,000 a year, when they can get an analyst who's able to do that job, and I pay him and I give him a raise of $5,000 a year, and also, attract to promotion, right? So they're saving a lot more money by, letting people wear a lot more hats. So most of the time, you're going to be able to experiment with different ideas, right? If you have ideas on how you can make a process efficient, then most likely you're going to be heard, right? If you're working for a huge publicly traded company, you're not going to be able to say, I don't like how we do this. I think we can do it this way. That is why a lot of bankers are leaving, because, they're doing things that have been done for the past decades, and there's new ways of doing things now, right? And these old heads or boomers or whatever they are, they don't want to change. They have processes and procedures on how to do things that they have done for years. So that is what comes with working for big corporations that have, procedures that, cannot be changed, right? It's going to take a decade to change those procedures. But when you work for mid-sized companies, it's more flexible, right? If you discover a new way to reconcile data, management is going to be willing to hear that out, test it out and see if it works out and get implemented if it's good enough. And most of the time, if your ideas are good enough, that's going to lead to promotion and raises and things like that. Now, the next point is going to be the dress code. So the dress code is going to be relaxed. I don't have to wear a suit to work. I wear business casual. And when you compare that to someone who works in New York in a, huge publicly traded company, in most cases, they have to wear business professional, which is something that I don't have to do aside from, a couple meetings that I might have to, wear a suit. The dress code is usually relaxed in smaller companies. Now, don't get this confused with, you can wear sweats to work. You can do the things, this and that. And this brings me to a point that I want to make, where whenever you go work for someone else, right? That's working for a company. You're working for someone else. You don't go to work to represent yourself. You go to represent the company, right? So even if it's business casual or just casual, you don't want to take it overboard, right? Because the next thing you know, next year's going to be like, yeah, no more casual. Now we're wearing suits, every day. So you don't want to take that overboard, because at the end of the day, you are a representation of the company or the person you're working for. And the next point is going to be, you're going to be able to feel a sense of ownership, right? So you might not be able to own the company or part of the company, even though sometimes when you work for a certain amount of time for some of these mid-sized companies, you're going to be able to get a profit share, or, you get, a piece of the company, right? But we're not assuming that. We're saying that when you feel a sense of ownership at something, you're going to want that thing to do great, right? You're going to do your best work. And, you don't want it to fail, right? So when you have a sense of ownership, that's going to allow you to perform better, to have better quality results. And when you put those together, that's a recipe for raises, promotions, things like that, right? They're having a great career. So a sense of ownership, I think, is really important if you're working, especially at a job that you enjoy, right? And this brings me to the last point, which is working for a mid-sized company that allows you to wear a lot of hats, do all these things, try new ideas and implement those new ideas. And, just giving you the freedom to work as hard as you can, and getting rewarded for those things. That's going to give you a lot of experience. And if your goal is to to start your own business in the future, maybe you're using the money you're getting from your job to save up money to start a business. This is going to allow you to have that experience, right? Imagine if you came in as a finance analyst or financial analyst, and you start working as an accountant. You're helping out the accounting department, and then let's say you start helping out with the marketing department. You help out with the sales department, right? These are essential things that are needed to drive a business to success, right? So imagine having experience in all those fields. You don't really have to hire people that that are super knowledgeable in those, because you already know how to do it. You've done it, right? And you can delegate tasks. You can even train your employees, right? And if you have to train your employees, they have no experience, you don't have to pay them that much. We could go into business in a different video. But essentially, being able to wear those hats at a small company and at a mid-sized company, and if your end goal is to start your own business, that's going to give you an advantage over someone who just knows, the business they're passionate about. So let's say in the future, you want to go ahead and start a coffee shop, and you're really passionate about coffee. You know everything about coffee, like literally everything. But if you don't know accounting, finance, sales, marketing, then your business is most likely to fail, right? Or you're going to have to bring in someone who already has that experience, and you have to pay them a lot of money, right? So imagine if you're passionate about coffee, but you also have worked in corporate in a mid-sized company where you got to work as an analyst, as an accountant, as in marketing, sales, and things like that. You're going to have a good idea. You just don't have your passion. You have, tools that are going to help you drive that into a successful business. But that is pretty much it when it comes to why you should work for a smaller company. Obviously, there's way more things. If I was going to make a video on everything, it would probably take me like 2 days to finish that video, or the video will be 2 days long for you to watch. But there's so many things that come with working for mid-sized companies. That is why I always recommend starting off at a mid-sized company. And also, when you start off at a mid-sized company, and you work there for a couple years, you have a lot of experience, right? You update your resume, you can apply to those big companies, right? They're going to look at your resume like, oh, you've done all of this. But that is pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. If you work for a mid-sized company, if you work for a huge company, if you have anything to add on the topic, let me know in the comment section below. And also make sure to go ahead and follow me on Instagram at GoatNash. It is on the screen somewhere here. I don't know. But make sure to follow me and ask me any questions if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.